This is a really big problem. 3 years ago, I went to 11 banks in South Dakota when we were growing so fast, and we couldn't find anybody to lend us any money. We originally started, our first investor was the local Lakota Fund, which is a CDFI. And using a PRI from a private foundation, we were able to get our first loan, our first investment of $61,000. But because we're on an Indian reservation, banks, like most of the banks in Rapid City, which is 100 miles away, consider the reservation to be outside of their service area, so they provide no commercial lending on the reservation without a federal guarantee. Now here's an interesting problem. To have a federal guaranteed loan, you need to have 20% equity. We're in the natural food industry where the key principal driver of the business is your brand value. But the federal government loan program doesn't recognize brand value as an asset. They consider it intangible when it is considered the only tangible asset in my industry. So most of what I'm building isn't recognized, and so I can't access USDA guaranteed money, BIA guaranteed money, or SBA guaranteed money. So that's a particular problem. The reason that we're still in business is that the CDFI clearinghouse out of Los Angeles, California, and us put together a complicated transaction that involved investors of a tribe, 2 foundations, a bank, the Federal Reserve, and the clearinghouse CDFI. And that's just to get us where we're at now. And now we're faced with having just done that in the last year, we have to do it again. Like I said earlier, we're experiencing 125% growth. We want to add more jobs. And then the last thing is, about 48% of the people who work on Pine Ridge can't find housing. So we have this low-income housing problem, but now we have workforce housing problem. Just as my colleague from Sydney just outlined, there's a need right now, market for these houses, and the financial structure to build them and get them on the market is a huge gap. So, you know, we have some real serious challenges being rural. You mentioned that about 3% of the foundations in the country give to rural America, and about 3% of them give to Native Americans. So that's, you know, about 1/3 of 1% of the philanthropy that's going out there. So it's, you know, from a step back, you think there's a lot of money, but when you actually try to bring a business to scale, it's a huge challenge for us.
Just very quickly,